Thank you very much. I am not important, I am elected. So it's a short-term contract that I have with all the European citizens. So first of all, good evening and thank you for having me today. I learned a lot of things and was quite astounded by what I've learned. And thank you for giving me the honor of this closing words, which I will try to make short, but maybe I will fail. The theme was food and feed for the future, and maybe the question that we have to answer is how do we build the future of food and feed? As was said, especially in the last presentations, the consumers are the real policymakers, where they can make the difference. But there is a massive gap between what I have heard today and what the consumers know when they decide what to buy. And I'm talking about the consumers that buy, because there is an increasing number of consumers in Europe and outside of Europe that are on food aid, which means that they eat what they are given, and we could collectively build on this policy opportunity to work on this to make sure that food aid or school meals of all organized routes to market are sustainable for food and feed. It's not the case at the moment. We need massive and coordinated communication to the consumer about what is at stake. I don't think they understand what is at stake, and what is a sustainable food, why they should be proud of all the progresses made by our farmers, be they in Australia, in Europe, or elsewhere. Today, I've heard a lot of things that prove that a lot of research has been done and has found things and does not fall naturally from the sky. Of course, there is the issue of informing the consumer with a label. Label-wise, there is a private initiative like Planet Score, but I believe that when you go to buy your food, price is the key, and that also private logos benefit those who it belongs to, with the added complexity that was discussed today of the metrics of what we measure and how we measure it. To be totally frank, I do not believe in the magic label at all. If it existed, it would have been put on all the products a long time ago. I was astounded. Oh, yes. I believe that in education, started in school, especially kindergarten, but also we should think about education all through life. Why don't we talk about to companies about having times of exchanges on what is sustainable food? How do we want consumer to change if we don't talk to them? I was astounded today at the level of innovations, from technical ones to new practices, new organizations for circularity that are ready to market. Enabling innovation to reach the consumers and succeed and develop is a key success factor. And on the novel food legislation, I think that we need to change the bracket as well as the scope. Maybe we need to have a fast-track lanes or stop the clock mechanism, while at the same time we must include environmental and biodiversity and all social and economic impacts that are not tackled now. However, let's be clear, few innovations have enabled us to reduce our emissions. We saw that with the internet, as I said earlier on. So I do believe on freedom of research, freedom of consumption, once the food safety studies have been carried out. Food safety is compulsory. But let's stop presenting novel food as an alternative to traditional agriculture. There are two separate things that have separate objectives, and for both we need to find a more sustainable way of producing food. We have talked a lot about breeding, but we can talk about water. Cellular meat does not emit methane, but it does consume a lot of water in its production. It's a concern. We have a lack of water, and it will go on. we will have more and more drought. So we also need to think about our sustainable food innovations as being sustainable in 20 years. If we invest in factories now, let's make sure that the place where they are put have all the inputs that they need to produce the said food. So I think that we need to really save water for human consumption and for agriculture. We need to protect arable lands and grow crops on them, as well as having cattle on non-productive lands to produce food. That's something that is part of our culture, it's part of our rural communities, it's very good for the climate, it's very good for the food, and also for our GIs, because a lot of very good cheese come from these very ancient and traditional practices. No one denies that traditional livestock farming has an impact on climate change. A lot has been done already to reduce emissions, especially through feed, but much remains to be done. And I think that the professionals need to come with a proposition and embark. I've learned things today that I have never even discussed with all the farmer communities that I talk with on an everyday basis, for the CAP, for whatever. So it is important that all the farmers are embarked on this innovation and also, so we need more research, we need science, we need to listen to science and believe in the results of EFSA, because they are paid for that. We have an independent agency in Europe, it's very good, but when they come with results that do not agree with some very vocal minorities, then we have a web crisis, and all the citizens, they have doubts on the results. And we cannot live on a society where people have doubt on what they eat because of this mechanism. So it's very important that we authorize and communicate to the public on existing and coming results of innovation. Technology neutrality is fundamental. Can you imagine if, when radiography was invented, people had said, oh, now we stop, that's the only technology for medical imaging. Research would have stopped, and we wouldn't have had scanners, ultrasound scans, and everything. So we need to agree that the innovations of today, they will be followed by new innovations that do not exist and that will need to be allowed too. We must not forget that livestock farming does not provide just us with food. It's also an important role to play in biodiversity, in maintaining the landscapes, in, especially in mountain areas, and in preventing fires or natural catastrophes. It is in the interest of our society to maintain livestock farming and grazing in Europe and all temperated places on the planet. Emerging countries, while investing in research into new protein sources, are also investing heavily in agriculture. China, India, and Brazil are becoming major meat and milk producers. If we want to preserve Europe's food sovereignty, we must continue to invest and carry out research to improve the environmental impact of our livestock farming, and not make the mistake of thinking that the solution lies in one single technology. We need a toolbox with as many tools as possible, and make sure that all the farmers know how to use the said tools. As Europeans, we also need to take responsibility to the rest of the planet. If we produce less, which is the trend of all the environmental policies that we are doing, we will import more, except if we waste less. However, all things equal today, if we produce less, we will import more, and that will have two consequences. Consequences on increased prices and less volume for hungry countries, and greenhouse gas emission leakage. So it's very important that we consider and we protect all our arable lands and we produce crops on them, because otherwise it's deforestation. In summary, we need, as we have been able to do on the COVID crisis, to move from competition with third countries to cooperation, as you have all shown today that you are doing very well. The path of climate change, the consequences in front of us, oblige us to mitigate and to adapt at the correct rhythm, including the legislative rhythm. The issues are complex, and we need to embark all the stakeholders when we build policies without radical solutions that would be unacceptable to the consumer or some producers. Because we need collective intelligence to tackle complex issues, in 2019, I founded with 4 other MEPs what we have called the European Food Forum. The European Food Forum is an independent, politically led, non-partisan, multi-stakeholder forum led and governed by elected members of the European Parliament, of which I have the honor of being president. The EFF aims to promote open dialogue. We do not take political positions, but we discuss with all the stakeholders when a coming strategy is proposed by the Commission. That way, we can, democracy is a dialogue where people that do not agree discuss. And we can see the things that we agree on and push them, and then concentrate on the things we disagree on to find solutions, to make sure that the policies that we work on, that we vote, are feasible and do not leave anybody on the side of the road. The result is very good because the European Commission comes to all our meetings now, and that's a good result for me. Food is the prime connection between people and the planet, and the policies that regulate the food supply chain in the EU and globally need to be constantly evolved and reviewed to respond to societal needs and, of course, to contribute to tackle climate change. However, the way in which we are going to achieve the goal of zero CO2 emissions by 2050 may give rise to highly polarized opinions or even conflicts. We tested it in France with Sainte-Soline, the water reservoir issues, and we have so many other examples of tensions. This is why we need dialogue forums that give a voice to all the stakeholders. The European Food Forum does not instead take positions on specific policy issues. It's a space for open dialogue based on science and research. Our forum remains open to new players, so don't hesitate to contact us if you would like to take part in our work. As a final point, food is an arm of war, especially at the moment when we are speaking. So I believe that at the same time that we are talking about building and strengthening international governments on weapons or communication, we also need strong international tools to make sure that we decrease hunger at the same time as our environmental impacts, with public-private cooperation and technology transfer to the hungry countries. There is no planet B. We need to be proactive, responsible, sustainable, and show the best of our humanity. Access to quality food in enough quantity should not become a privilege for the more developed countries. It is a fundamental human right. Thank you very much.